Alright, I'm going to show you how to change the motors on the Helios 2. In the toolbox that comes with the drone, you will find the mechanical plier, the mechanical cutter, and this small T8 and T6 Torx tool. We don't recommend you use it because it's not very practical. It's better if you use your own T8 Torx driver. The motors come in this kit. Inside you will find two kinds of zip ties and some screws. You have the motors that come in pairs of two, and you will also find this card that tells you you need some Loctite to put on the screws before you attach them. First you need to identify which motor you need to change. There are two kinds, and on the top of the motor you can see there is a mark, there is an R on one of them and there is nothing on the other one. That's because the motors don't turn in the same direction. First you have to cut the zip ties on the cover of the motor connector. Be careful, you need to cut on the side where there are no cables. Once the zip ties are cut, you can gently pull the cover and put it away. Then with your hands you can unplug the cables. Once the cables are disconnected, you can take your T8 Torx driver and remove the two screws. Now that the screws are away, you can pull the motor out. And you can check which kind it is. In this case, there is the R mark, so you know which one you want to replace. Make sure you take the correct one. You can see the mark on the top of the motor. And first thing you have to do is to put the two screws back. First you put the motor in the right position. You can take the Loctite and put two small drops in the holes. Take two screws from the small bag. You don't want to make the first screw too tight. Then you take the second screw. The second one you want to make as tight as you can, and then you can go back to the first screw and make it really tight. Now that the screws are fixed, you can take the two connectors and plug them to the stack. Make sure the cables are not crossed. Try to put them in the right position. And then you take the cover. Hold the two connectors together, it makes it easier, and make sure the cables fit nicely in the cover. Next, you take a big zip tie, and you have to be careful. You want to put it on the right side. You want to have the closing part on the inside of the drone, and it must fit into the line of the cover. It is important that the big zip tie is really tight, so you can take the plier. Once the big zip tie is tight, you want to make sure the cover is in the good position. You can cut it, and finally you take the two smaller zip ties that goes on each side of the cover. The one on the outside has to be entered from the back of the arm. It must fit on the line of the cover. And you can make it tight with your hands. It doesn't have to be too tight. You do the same with the last zip tie. And cut them. Okay, the two motors are nicely attached and you should be ready to fly.